You're afraid to write new chapters because you have to sacrifice comfort and become uncomfortable and start to go into the growth area where things become very interesting and very difficult. You start to go back and try to relive old chapters and think about old chapters. And you start to want to be in those old chapters because those old chapters are familiar. You know what you're getting in those old chapters, and they may not even be good chapters. You may actually hate those chapters, but because they're familiar and they're not the other thing that's unfamiliar, you stay in those old chapters and you forget to continue to write that book. You're scared because the new chapters means risking rejection, risking failure, risking embarrassment, and being seen for who you are. Hiding in those old chapters costs you something. It's not free. It's not free. It never is free. There's nothing in this life that's for free. Welcome back to Be Unafraid podcast. If you feel like you're stuck in the same old routines in life and you're scared that you're wasting your potential, then this episode is for you. Most people in their lives never stop to ask, who do I actually want to become in life? And they let fear and comfort write the story of their lives. Today, we're going to talk about how to take that pen back, stop living on autopilot, and how to start living your life as if you were the hero of your own story. So let's get into the episode. Most people knowingly or unknowingly live their lives on autopilot and following a script that they never chose or they never wrote. A concept that's changed my life is from Donald Miller's Hero on a Mission, and he talks about how we live our lives as if they were a story. Our lives are a story, and in every story, there's four major characters. There's a hero, a villain, a victim, and a guide. And throughout life, we play each one of those characters depending on the time of our lives. And sometimes multiple times throughout the day, we switch between all of those characters. But the ultimate goal is to ultimately be the hero of your own story and to ultimately be a guide for somebody else, for another person trying to be a hero. And that requires you to have an active role in writing the story of your life. Fate will write all of our stories if you let it, if you choose to not take an active role in that and to live your life on autopilot. Your story will be written for you. Every single day that you wake up, you write a page in your book. And every day that goes by, those pages become chapters. And ultimately, there's going to be an ending to your book. And all those chapters are going to accumulate into this ending. And you can either choose to play an active role in writing what goes on those pages, or you can just sit back and let fate write your story. And Donald talks about how fate is actually a terrible writer because most of the time it's going to be a story that other people want you to live or a story that you haven't chosen yourself. If you're afraid to pick up that pen, then there's really not much that you can do. There's not much that you can do. And a lot of people feel stuck. And I know I did at some point in my life, right? A lot of people feel stuck because they're too afraid to pick up that pen and to actually start writing those pages and those chapters in their lives, because now it means that they have to go through change. It means that they have to go through growth. They now have to go through facing fears, facing their insecurities, and starting to build these things like courage and confidence and optimism. All of these things are really, really hard to do. But that is the price that you pay for that silent misery that you're going to feel if you let fate write the story for you. If in your life you have the ability to write your story, you have the ability to dictate certain things or take ownership and execute on certain things, then you need to take advantage of that, because not everybody has that. Not everybody has that ability. There's people that are born into circumstances. There's people that are born into locations or that are in environments where they really can't write their own story all that too well. And it's very difficult, very possible to do. But if you're in that fortunate situation where you can choose to write a lot of your story and co-write your story with fate, having some input to what your chapters and the ending is going to be, then you need to do that. Subscribe to this episode if you're done letting fear stop you from writing the story of your own life and becoming the hero of your own life. It's time to take that pen back and do what you've actually been wanting to do for so long, but you've been too afraid to do it. So let's get back into the episode. In order to really start thinking about that story and starting to write the story of your own life, once you grab that pen and you're ready to write that story, right? You're ready to co-write your story with fate. You need to now think about the ending of your story. Who do I want to become once I reach the end of my life? The reason for this is if you don't have your ending in mind, you're just going to keep drifting and writing chapters that don't really make sense. Your ending as a human being doesn't have to be perfect and doesn't have to be 100% everything that's going to happen, because what we know in life is that life is not linear this way. Life is ups and downs, life is twists and turns, many different roads, and you might have an ending in mind today, and then a year from now things will change. 5 years from now things will change. That's okay, you pivot, but you have to start somewhere. You have to start with a vision of who you want to have become at the end of your life. The reason for this is that it's going to help you to stop drifting into chapters that aren't yours. You're drifting into other people's stories. You're living other people's stories because you're not writing your own. Or if you're writing your own, you're doing such a bad job at it because you don't know the ending of that book that you're writing. So you feel stuck. You feel like you're being pulled in all different directions, or you feel like nothing is happening. And in order to fix that, you need to sit down and really think about who do you want to have become? Who do you want people to say that you were? What do you want to have accomplished in your relationships, careers, in your life expectations, your experiences? What do you want in life? Great authors write the ending first, then they build the story backwards. Terrible authors write the story first and then think about the ending after the chapters. Your life is no different. If you want to live towards a life with purpose and meaning and going after something, then you need to think about the end as well. And this is not an exercise to be morbid and to start thinking about death or things of that nature. This is what's going to get you excited. This is what's going to serve as a reminder on those days that you're just not feeling it and things aren't going your way, or you just don't have it that day. Thinking about that exciting ending that you're going towards is going to give you that extra motivation, that extra boost. And it's a reminder. That's exactly what it is. A reminder of where your story is going. That way, when you start to go left or right away from your ending, you can catch that pretty quickly and say, nope, that's not going towards my ending. I need to bring it back this way. Or maybe things have changed and your ending has changed. So now the chapters that you're writing need to change as well. So this will give you that visibility into the roadmap of where you feel your life needs to be. And always understanding that you need to maintain flexibility in this and understand your story is always changing. Your book's not over until it's over. One of the dangers of now going into this journey of writing your chapters, and once you started to decide to do this and live in this way of thinking of your life as chapters, is fear will keep you stuck rereading old chapters. You're afraid to write new chapters because you have to sacrifice comfort and become uncomfortable and start to go into the growth area where things become very interesting and very difficult. You start to go back and try to relive old chapters and think about old chapters. And you start to want to be in those old chapters because those old chapters are familiar. You know what you're getting in those old chapters, and they may not even be good chapters. You may actually hate those chapters, but because they're familiar and they're not the other thing that's unfamiliar, you stay in those old chapters and you forget to continue to write that book. You're scared because the new chapters means risking rejection, risking failure, risking embarrassment, and being seen for who you are. Hiding in those old chapters costs you something. It's not free. It's not free. It never is free. There's nothing in this life that's for free. You stay in these old chapters, it's going to cost you your peace, it's going to cost you your joy, and it's going to result in quiet misery where things look good on the outside, but in the inside, you're miserable. And At some point, sooner or later, you're going to face that. You may already be there now. You may be on your way towards there. You'll get there one day, and you'll realize that writing those new chapters is actually going to be the thing that's going to help you move forward, and the thing that's going to help free you and actually give you that real clean long-term enjoyment and satisfaction, because the journey is what brings meaning. The destination is going to be the prize, but the journey is going to be where you enjoy. That fear also manifests in the idea or the mental kind of thing that we all get into, where it's, I'm not ready yet. And I like to call this the someday mentality. Someday I'll do this. I'll do X, Y, and Z someday when I feel ready. I'll feel ready someday. So living in the future and looking at that future version of yourself, thinking that you're going to be brave someday, you're going to be confident someday, you're going to get this promotion someday, get this job someday, go back to school someday, get this certification someday, build this business someday, right? There's always something happening someday in your life. And understanding that staying in that someday story is just going to give you exactly that. It's more someday chapters. You're just going to have someday chapters because you're not going to accomplish very much. You're either going to accomplish nothing or very little of what you want, or you're going to accomplish a lot of the wrong things because you're living in that someday mentality that fear has put you in. So you need to understand that in order to truly accomplish and be successful, get out of that someday mentality and start to think in doing things now. Clarity never comes before taking action. One thing I have learned in my life is that I am never clear on anything that I do. I'm never 100% clear, ever. The only time I get 100% clarity is after I've done the thing. Once I do the thing, I know if it worked, I know if it didn't. I know if it's right, I know if it was wrong. It's never before. So if I'm struggling with getting 100% clear on a goal and I want to accomplish something and I'm 80% of the way there, I should just go ahead and do it. Just go ahead and do it. And then that 20% comes after. That 20% is the clarity. A lot of times we spend most of our time in that 20%, and we will spend months and years trying to solve for that 20%. Years will go by while you're trying to get that 20% to get that 100% clarity, until you realize that clarity comes from action. Clarity comes from action. Get 80% of the way there, 70% of the way there, and then the rest will come. What if this 20% means I'm going to fail? If I don't know something 100%, I'm going to fail. The real question is not what if I fail? The real question is, what story will I be able to tell when this chapter ends? That's the real question in anything. What is the story that I'm going to be able to tell if I do this thing? If I do this thing and potentially get this result, what does that story sound like when I'm telling it to somebody? What does that story sound like when I see it in my head? How is this story? And you'll oftentimes find that the story that you're going to tell when you take action and you stop letting fear hold you back is mostly, if not all, positive. And it's absolutely amazing because that story is the story of the hero that you're wanting to be in your life. You have the ability to grab that pen. You have the ability to write that chapter and to start to write that story along with life. You have the ability to co-write, to have input in that story. And the reality is that if you don't pick up that pen to write that story, nobody else is going to do it. No one is coming to save you, meaning that people around you will still love you. People will still give you encouragement. People will still be there for you. Don't get me wrong, but when I say no one's coming to save you, no one's going to wake up for you. No one's going to eat healthy for you. No one's going to work out for you. No one's going to get that promotion, learn that new language, go back to school. No one's going to start that business, start creating content for you. That's just not going to happen. People will tell you, people will motivate you, people will fire you up. But if you just do the same things every day and refuse to change and give in to fear, nothing's going to happen. Nothing changes if nothing changes. One of my favorite quotes, and it's very true. Nothing changes in your life if nothing changes. In order for something to change, that means change has to happen. So today, start to visualize that, start to think about that vision, start to think about your life as a story, your life as a book, because we are all writing a book of our lives, and start to think about that ending. Who do you want to have been at the end of your book? What do you want the hero in your story, which is you in this aspect, to have been when they get to the end of their journey? Visualize it, write down a couple of sentences, and start to think about how exciting that is, and start to think about how much that fires you up and how much that gives you the optimism and starts to create that curiosity that ultimately will lead you to taking action. That's the key here, is this ending, and writing this ending to your story will give you that curiosity. And with curiosity is going to come you taking a step towards learning more and towards getting more, because now you start to become more excited about writing those chapters. Taking back your story starts with calling out all those excuses that keep you stuck. Watch this episode right here to stop wasting your life and start to realize how to build the life that you want. So check it out. And as always, thanks for watching. Have a wonderful day.